So before we dive into part 2 of this episode, I got to ask, did you catch part 1? If not, hit pause real quick. You'll want to start from the beginning to get the full effect. The link to part 1 is right down in the description below. Go ahead, catch up, and we'll be right here waiting for you, ready to dive into part 2 when you're all set. It's worth it, I promise. And in your application, you mentioned a couple of names, James Wedmore and Kate Northrup, that you've worked with. Can you maybe talk a little bit how you've helped them and what that looks like for them?
Yeah. So for James Wedmore now, I don't know if you follow him, but he has this new program, Business by Design. But before he did that, he was the video guy. And that's in that era when we were still doing websites and sales pages. So basically, we were the tech behind the landing pages, the free video series, and all that stuff. Yeah. So basically, that's a great example where he was in his zone of genius. This is what I want to do. Yeah. There is like a designer. This is what it's going to look like. Let's make the automation. Let's make the take happen. And when you're in a team like that, when roles are really clearly defined, then he doesn't have to worry about even looking into that. So that's an example. We're helping through several launches, actually all of his launches. I still have the website. It was called the WP Help Club. And if you look, there is a tagline and it says, James Wedmore says, I don't make a move. When it comes to my websites, I don't make a move without Nathalie and Olivier. And that was like the best testimonial I've ever had from people. And that's what we were, because he needed something. This is what I need. And then he wouldn't think twice about how it was going to get done. To me, it's this is what I need. Like we know where he is right now, how much he has grown and how he's actually changed direction just because that was his vision. So with Kate Northrup, this is at the time where she had a book, but same thing, changed landing pages for a book for, I think she was doing webinars at the time and things like that. So very similar in their zone of genius. So I was working more with actually her husband, like the tech was the person that I was interacting with. And it's about, this is the launch we are doing. This is what needs to happen on the site. And then you just make it happen, right? So these are people that are really great at defining those boundaries and those roles. It's about building the right team. It's about trusting people. It's about being able to clearly articulate what it is that we want. Those were like great client to work with because they basically say, I just need this. And then you can just go in and there is no micromanaging or anything like that.
What I hear you saying, and I know from what our clients say, when you are clear, you are able to trust because you're able to communicate what you actually need and the result and the benefit you want at the end of the day. And then you find the people who have the expertise to execute that so that you can do the other things that you want. So when you are clear, clarity is a superpower in this to be able to do it. Now you have this AI side of it, because even for us as our agency, where AI and automation can make a huge difference in offloading some of those things as well. So that you're clear, I want my onboarding to be like this, whatever that is. And using AI and tools like Zapier and Maker and different things to help that be more streamlined and less manual. That's the perfect use of AI. And even in the example of podcast lead flow, you said this, your podcast is being listened to, and even your clients have mentioned different episodes, but there's no way for you to track that. You know, how many downloads you have, but it's not connecting it to you and your revenue or you and your actual client base. So tools like AI and automation can now do that for you. They take off some of the heavy lifting for you when you're clear. I want to do this. I'm going to see these numbers because this is what I'm trying to do. Now those kinds of tools can do that. So that is the era we live in now, is we have more access to data and information and personalization than ever before, but it can all be automated in a way that feels very human if you are clear.
Absolutely. We love AI. We've been using AI for 5 or 6 years now, back when we didn't have all these tools that we have right now. And there are like 2 major ways that we use AI. One, to automate, which we already had automation tools. Zapier is not new, right? It's been there for a while. But also to accelerate and amplify, right? Because that's what AI allows us to do, accelerate and amplify. Now, in the case of podcast lead flow, what we're doing is we are using AI to customize. Yeah. Because AI has this power of being able to get some knowledge that, for example, you would get from a podcast episode, right? To get some context which is the listener saying, this is the problem I have, this is what I've tried, and to be able to analyze and say, okay, this is where this person is, this is the framework. AI, tell me what is our next step? And boom, it's going to send them an email. So AI is allowing you to make a connection, human connection, to start a conversation via email with a listener, where the email they're going to get is going to be personalized to them based on what they share. So it's going to say, okay, so your problem is this, and AI is going to get into thinking and come up with a plan or a first step just for that. This not only creates the connection, because you get CC'd on the email.
Right.
So now you can reply and say, did you enjoy this little free coaching, customized coaching? It's literally like having the listener sitting next to you, and you ask them a couple of questions, and based on that, you give them a piece of advice. That's what it does. So in that case, we use AI to customize the experience further. We do that inside membership as well when we create tools for people to do the homework, right? So we are customizing it. We are humanizing the automation just by making it unique, making it about them. And that also builds trust, because it's very different when you sign up to get a PDF and everybody gets the same guide. And I have nothing against lead magnets. I have them. But if you go a little bit lower in the funnel where you want to actually make the connection,
Yes.
that's when you do it. That's when you start a conversation. In fact, I have a client. She used podcasts. You were talking about repurposing. And it's so important for podcasts to show it everywhere. Because if you just send people to Apple and Spotify, guess what these two platforms want? They want them to stay over there. They don't care about your business at all. So you have to share on a platform where you have control over, on your website, and where you allow them to be able to take the next step if they're ready. Otherwise, you're missing opportunities. And that's what AI can allow you to do.
We believe in the power of systems. And when you have a system, it also is freeing and liberating. Recently, we did this whole thing called the growth flywheel. Have you heard of that concept? Essentially, we have drafted out our entire funnel, every step, every touch point. What happens next? If they say yes or no, what happens next? And based on the entire funnel, we have 8 different steps in the funnel, from awareness to adoration, which is when they're referring you and all the things. So in there, though, from awareness to adoration, we have metrics based on every single section that we're looking at, related specifically to the funnel, and if it's on track or off track based on last month's numbers and some benchmarks we've created for ourselves. But this growth flywheel is incredibly powerful to create a system. So who's accountable where? What tools are being used? What communications are happening here? How can we automate that thing? So just yesterday, we automated something that we were doing manually because we could clearly see the system and where it could be automated. And I love the idea that it's accelerate, amplify, and personalize or customize, because it is specifically customized to them based on the action that they took,
exactly,
the choice that they made. They received that particular communication. I think I still hear a lot of business owners that are a little bit nervous about AI, and it is a little complex. Prompt writing is a superpower. There's some things that need to happen. People who have systems like yours, the podcast Lead Flow, have developed a system within the AI model that is very customized to this particular task at hand. And that's what we're seeing more and more of, is these very customized task-related chats and different things that can happen. And there are people who can lead you down that path to help you with those automations and systems. And it's liberating when you have a system that you know works, you know where everything sits. And that is the only way, I believe, that you can, 1, clone yourself, and 2, you can scale.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without the burnout. You have the focus, the flow, and without the burnout. That is the overwhelmed overachiever calling card.
Yeah. And one thing you said that is really important is that you first looked at what you were doing. So you want to automate a process that is actually something that you can put into a process. So there is no it depends. That's what I tell my clients when I hear it depends. That's not a process. Right? When looking at AI can be overwhelming, because you see all these people saying, look at this tool, look at that tool. That's not what I do. I don't look at all these tools. We look at AI as, can it help me solve a specific problem? So if you're wondering, how should I use AI? think about what are things where you would like to automate, save time. You feel like you're repeating yourself. Is there something that can be automated there? If you're running programs or clients, is there a tool that you could create or someone could create to help your clients with their own work, build their confidence? Role play for sales calls, role play for DMs, whatever it is. It's a practice tools, right? So think in terms of that. Is there a gap or a problem that maybe AI can solve? And then you find the people to talk to see if it's feasible, if there are tools out there, if it needs to be custom built. I think it's a much better way to look at AI into how it benefits my business. Do I want to automate? Do I want to add extra level of support for my clients? Do you want to see if I can create tools to help them? Or do I want to try to personalize things like we do with podcast lead flow? And I think it's a much better angle and it's less overwhelming.
Oh my gosh.
Because there is so much, like it's a full-time job to look at what's going on with AI.
All the tools, all the prompts, all the ways it can be used. There's writing tools, visual tools, video tools. It's how I felt for a long time about social media. All these things were changing so quickly. Algorithms are changing. And we stepped away from being social media experts. That was really something I was always in the forefront of because I feel like that wasn't the value we were really providing. We were providing this whole clarity thing to make social media easier. And that's how we feel about AI. We're creating clarity to make AI easier for you. And so we do build custom brand bots for you based on your particular personalization so that you can accelerate, amplify, and personalize far more than you can right now. Because we know the prompts, we know what needs to be put into the role and the instructions and all the project files need to be in there. We can custom build that for you with that in mind. If you're listening right now, though, and this concept of AI is feeling a little overwhelming, and maybe what Nathalie has said about having that real clear picture, that first, and then plugging in AI and automation where it makes sense. If that was something that was like really powerful for you, I'd love for you to drop us a note, leave us a review, let us know that was powerful for you. These are little tips that so many of our guests are leaving on this podcast that I believe are incredibly powerful for someone who is trying to do it all. So hearing your feedback is incredibly powerful for us to know what is really inspiring you today to inform you in different ways that you didn't know even was possible before. So I have a magic hat. The magic hat is like a rapid fire questions section. Yep. We'll answer a few and then we'll go to the next section. What is one marketing trend that needs to die already?
Cold DMs.
Ooh, please. What is the area you had to learn the most? Finance, HR, leadership, operations, or marketing?
Leadership.
How did you learn?
I'm still learning.
Yeah, me too.
Leadership, like not being a boss, but being like a partner leader, like leadership in your team in business, leadership in driving conversations, handling difficult clients, leadership in handling your accountant, things like that.
Clarity is huge for that too. When you have clarity, it's much easier to lead. What was the moment you realized your business was successful?
Good question. Successful, it's a complicated word, right? I guess I would say that moment when I got an email from James Wedmore again, because that was like the first big one, where he said, I want you to help me make, it's the quote on my site, I want to help you make my dream a reality or something like that. I wrote that. And that was my quote on the website. And I met him 2 years ago, I think. I met him in the US, San Diego maybe. And I told him that. And he said, no, I didn't know. I just said it.
That was the perfect client for you, for sure. What's one book, podcast, or entrepreneur that has made a lasting impact on your entrepreneurial journey?
This one, The Go-Giver by Bob Burg. It's like a business fable.
Oh.
And it's about the power of giving, gratitude, and I see it as turn back around and help the next one in line kind of thing.
Okay.
And Get a Grip. Such a good book.
I've not read either one of those.
Get a Grip is another business fable. I've read it like 2 or 3 times.
Really?
It's all about systems. You're going to love it because it's all about systems. So the idea, it's like traction. Get a Grip is the story of a fake business that is going through some trouble, and somebody comes in from EOS to lead the team. So they fire people in the right seat and stuff like that. Yeah. Understand the EOS model on the concrete example.
We've been using EOS for 10 years. Actually, I was part of a company that implemented EOS probably 20 years ago. It's been a part of my vernacular and my kind of systems thinking for a long time. Do you have an unconventional tool or app that has become your secret weapon for your day-to-day work? Hey, I know you're listening today because you're ready to take your business and your brand to the next level. But if you're being honest with yourself, maybe even feeling a little bit lost, but you've got this big vision and you know that you're meant to make a bigger impact. But sometimes it's so hard to know where to start and which direction to take. Does that sound familiar? You're not alone. So many purpose-driven entrepreneurs feel the exact same way as you. That's why I created the Clarity Quiz, a simple tool that helps you get to the heart of what's holding you back and shows you where you need to focus next. No more second guessing, no more spinning the wheels, just clear, actionable insights that give you the confidence to move forward, that next best step. Taking the quiz will give you a deeper understanding of your brand's true potential and what's standing in your way. And the best part, it only takes like 3 minutes, but the results, they could transform the way you approach your business and brand forever. So if you're ready to stop feeling overwhelmed and you want to start showing up with purpose and clarity, go to wickedlybranded.com and take the quiz now.
I don't think I do. I don't do anything like crazy special. I keep it simple.
Simple could be the unconventional tool. A lot of people overcomplicate it. So Nathalie, the simplicity could be the unconventional tool.
Yeah, here we go.
Last question. What's been your biggest aha moment as an entrepreneur?
So are you familiar with Fabienne Fredrickson? Fabienne Fredrickson, she's a US and French, and she runs a business called Bullheart. And I was in a program in our mastermind, and we were in Paris at a retreat, and we do an exercise about our entrepreneurial, how much of an entrepreneur are we? It's like a questionnaire. And I rate 2 out of 10. And then there are people next to me, 8, and Fabienne is a 10. And then there is my friend Gita, she's a 10 as well. And I am a 2. I'm like, okay, I'm less than, this is not for me, right? What am I doing here? I'm a fraud. And then she comes to me and she sees I have a 2. And I said, I don't know what to do about this. No, I'm not like a risk taker. I'm more wired to have a job. I'm just in business because to support my husband. And she said, but it's okay. We're not going to try to make you from a 2 to an 8 or a 10 because that's your superpower. You're a 2. So that means that you are with all these things, analytical and things like that. What this just means is you need to surround yourself with people to help you in these areas. So you stay in your zone of genius. We're not going to try to fix you. You are not broken.
No, and you're not.
That's why I talk about you stay in your zone of brilliance and things like that. It all comes from her. Yeah. And that really boosted my confidence because she said, you don't have that, but you have other things.
Yes.
She said, show me a spreadsheet. And I'm like, no way, I cannot stand a spreadsheet. So she has this amazing business, but she has people helping her on these things that sound like easy for me and like natural part of business. And to her, she's no, because she stays in her lane. And that's how she was. Imagine if she was forcing herself to look at spreadsheets 2 hours a day, she would have no energy left and she would do nothing.
A good one, though. So I also have a wand, Nathalie, because I'm the fairy godmother of brand clarity. So every fairy godmother needs a wand. I want to wave the wand and take us back to before maybe graduating or maybe just moving to the US, Nathalie. What is one piece of advice you would give to her that you wish she had that would have helped her navigate life a little bit easier as an entrepreneur?
And so when we moved to the US, we were not entrepreneurs. We were employees. What I would say is plan for the future.
In what way?
Retirement. Think strategically about what you're going to do with your money.
And what would she say about you now?
What would she say? She'd say, I've come a long way. She'd say, I never thought that you would be able to do what you are doing. So I think she'd be proud.
Lovely. If I go in the future and I go to many decades in the future and they're looking at the legacy of Nathalie Doremieux, if they look back at her and look at her legacy of what she's built from a business perspective, what will people say about Nathalie?
They will say that I was one of the key people that really pushed for creating better experiences inside online program and questioning people that measure success by the amount of money that they make and not the results that their clients get, which is something that's always got me.
I like it. So I'm going to wave the wand and take us back to present day. What is one piece of actionable advice that you would give to our listeners today about how they could build, create, make more confidence in their business?
I think depending on where you are, if you are in the flow, like you were saying, Beverly, then just great. But if you're feeling like not sure about what to do, maybe feel like you're starting too many things, is maybe taking a step back and really give yourself permission to say what it is that I really want. Are they things that I'm just doing just because they sound easy, but are they really what I want to do? Doing less, but with more intention, so you don't get the burnout, so you don't get the overwhelm. And if it's just like from the get-go, if it's like just working part-time on my business and having the other half of the time to do other stuff, it's okay. Just saying I want to work 4 days a week, just make it happen and just build the business around that lifestyle. I think that's the key to staying motivated, getting results, being in the flow, the right energy, where you attract good things, you attract the partner, right? What are you telling the universe?
Yes.
One client, do you really? Is that really what you want to do? So it's really getting that clarity. Sometimes the solution is not as complicated and as hard, but it takes that first step to say what it is that I really want. How do I simplify and I do more of what I want?
I call it the should suitcase. You have a checklist of shoulds. And just because the suitcase is full of shoulds doesn't mean you can't take them out of the suitcase and have a little bit later of a load to go forward with. I feel like women's particularly have all the shoulds. And we can redefine what we want as opposed to should. What we could be doing versus what we should be doing, what we can be doing because we want to do it, not necessarily what we should be doing, and redefining what that looks like for ourselves as mothers, as wives, as daughters, as all of the roles that we play in this world, and that we live in a really cool time to be able to create exactly what works for us if we're intentional. I do summer Fridays, so I don't work on Fridays in the summer because my son is home and I want to be able to go take him to the pool or whatever. And I might do a little bit in the morning or whatever, but I really keep that kind of sacred. At the beginning of the year, every year, I block off several long weekends to go see my girlfriends and different things that I have in my life. I block off time to go on a vacation, a couple of vacations with my husband and my child. I am very intentional about my time because it's so finite that you cannot get back. I am so intentional with where I spend my time that everything is clear for me now of what I should and should not be doing. But that's such great advice, Nathalie. I love that so much because when we are clear, we are able to create something far more powerful for ourselves, both from a business perspective, but it also bleeds into our other parts of our lives. When we're lit up, when we're in our flow, that just makes us better humans and more fun to be around. And gosh, the world needs way more of that now than ever. Nathalie, this is wonderful. Where can our listeners connect with you, learn more about the Membership Lab, the Podcast Lead Flow?
So for the Membership Lab, you can go to themembershiplab.com/gift. And here there are a bunch of free resources. If you want to get into that, there are stuff about AI as well. And for Podcast Lead Flow, you can just go to podcastleadflow.com to find out more about Podcast Lead Flow, book a call if you would like to chat about how this could work for you. I do free consultations. I've got like over 1,000 of them in my Evernote. And that's a great way for me to keep a pulse on where people are at. And I learn as much as they do, and I try to provide lots of value. So I love to talk to people. That's my way of knowing where people are at and what excites me and what solution I can create for people.
So good. Thank you, Nathalie. This has been so fun to talk about clarity and systems and AI and confidence. I am so honored to be able to talk to people just like you who are doing it and conquering it and doing things even like this, like a podcast that might be just a little bit hard for you to do, but doing it anyway because you know that's what your business needs. So kudos to you for spending the time with me today. And it's been a pure pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
And if you're listening here today and thinking, wow, I want this kind of clarity and confidence in my brand, I would love for you to set up a clarity call with me. Again, a 15-minute, no charge, no fee chat, just to see what the best next step might be for you. Or if you need more help with your courses and with your podcast conversions, then just make sure you reach out to Nathalie because she's a great resource for you. I hope you found this episode of the Sparking That You're Marketing podcast as fun and as inspiring as I did. I hope you stay tuned for more episodes. And until next time, keep sparking and igniting. And that wraps up today's episode of the Sparking That You're Marketing podcast. Remember, confidence is built one intentional step at a time. And every time you show up for your brand, you are proving to yourself and to your audience that you are ready for more. Speaking of more, I have something really exciting to share with you. Starting next season, the Sparking That You're Marketing podcast will have a brand new name, Wickedly Branded, the Marketing Podcast. We're making this change because we want to show up more wickedly branded ourselves, fully aligned with the bold, creative, and confident brand that we stand for. Back in March, we updated our entire brand from BC & Associates Marketing to Wickedly Branded, more bold, sassy, and magical brand that we truly feel resonates with us and the magic we've been creating for our customers for 13 years. So in season 6, we'll take everything you've learned about building brand confidence and business confidence and confidence in yourself and move it into the next phase. We call that brand activation. This is where strategy meets your soul and we bring your brand to life with visuals and voice and a vibe that's undeniably you. So keep tuning in, keep building that confidence, and get ready because season 6 is going to be the spark that ignites your brand. And it's where we'll dare you to be wickedly branded.